Okay, everybody, let us cut to the chase. There are some big things happening in the market and you need to know what's going on. Make sure to stay to the end of this video because I'm going to have some tips and tricks that I've been coaching my members on in order to make sure that they are getting ahead in our very fast changing market. So let's dive in. What is the biggest thing that's happening right now? Well, if you have been under a rock, wake up. Our market is going absolutely bananas and has been for the last several months. Well, if you have any buyers anywhere in any price range, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's right. I have buyers in the 300s. I have a buyer in the 1.2 million range, and yet neither of them have been able to get a home. How and why is this happening? Well, let's back up a little bit. We know that there's a lot going on and a lot of people want to blame the iBuyer programs or the investors or the companies that are buying up hundreds of homes. But here's the cold hard facts. They are only accounting for a very, very, very small percentage of purchases that are happening in the market today. What's really happening is supply and demand. Let's look at this. Especially given North Carolina, I'm in Charlotte. We're one of the top 5 fastest growing cities in the country. We have a ton of buyers moving into town, buying up our properties. Where are they coming from? Yes, there are a ton coming from California, a bunch coming from New York, but there's plenty of people within our area that are also trying to sell, then buy. So there's a few challenges that you're probably facing right now. 1, you've got sellers that want to sell, but they don't know where they're going to go. 2, you've got buyers that want to buy, but they haven't been able to get anything under contract. And 3, you've got buyers, right? Lists and lists of them that just won't cut it when it comes to the market right now, meaning there's no properties available in their price range at all. So let's break these 3 things down, and I'm going to show you what you can do in order to get your clients under contract. So first things first, let's talk about your sellers that have to buy before they can sell. There's some wonderful programs that can help with this. Now, the biggest reason why most sellers want to wait to sell before they buy is because they want to know where they're going. Now, here's the challenge for us as agents trying to get somebody under contract. As you know, if they have to sell a property, that means that they are contingent on the offers they're making. And let's face it, if sellers are getting offers that have 15 non-contingent and that 1 that's contingent, they don't want additional things getting in the way of their property getting sold. That can get in the way. So we want to make sure that our buyers / sellers are able to prevent the contingency. How do we do this? 1, there are some phenomenal lenders that are out there now that will actually purchase the new property for your seller / buyer and be able to get them under contract. Once under contract, your seller can still sell their home. It just means that on the contract itself, it's not contingent on the sale of their property. Pretty cool. Now, the other thing that you can do is discuss with your clients to potentially take the advantages of the market as a seller and go ahead and rent. Now, I know what you're thinking. My clients don't want to rent. You're going to have to move twice. Yes, they might have to move twice, but it actually makes sure that they move even once, right? Think about this. If you've got a client who's contingent, they can't seem to get a lender that's going to be able to buy the house for them or finance it cash, they're going to need to sell their house. Now, if they get that house sold in the market we're in right now, they're going to make sure that they get the top dollar for the property. And that's the real big goal, right? We want to make sure they get as much money as they possibly can. This way, on the back end, they have the ability to purchase a home. So start talking to your clients about this opportunity and talk to them about it being an opportunity, not a challenge. The way that we present things as agents, as the actual experts, is how it's going to be interpreted. I've had plenty of clients that they would say, oh, I had this previous agent and they wouldn't tell me what I needed to do. People want to be told what to do. I know that sounds crazy, and I know all of us out there that are agents, we're drivers, we're high Ds, we do what we want to do. Although, let's think about this. If there's something in our business, something in our lives that we don't fully understand, do we want to try and figure it out ourselves and maybe fail a few times? Or do we want to find the person that's doing it exceptionally well and get them to help us? That's why our clients hired us. Never underestimate that, okay? So let's talk about the second part. The second part is you've got buyers, right? But they've made plenty of offers and they're not going under contract. What can we do to change that? Well, there's a few key pieces that you can do when making an offer that are going to help. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, even as a listing agent, my phone is blowing up every time we have a house that hits the market. I'm probably going to miss your call. Let's stop the hate on the listing agents, because guess what? Every single agent, buyer's agent that's out there is calling this agent wanting to find out, what does your seller want to see on the contract to make it be selected? There's very few things that we can really do as a buyer's agent to make any difference on that contract, right? The seller just wants to sell quickly, or at least have a timeline that they can follow, and they want the most for their property. I have yet to hear any seller say, you know what, I really like it if they would let me leave the refrigerator. If they would let me keep that refrigerator, I would pick that offer. As buyer agents, we have to understand the market is crazy, and it's crazy for our listing agents too. So cut them a little bit of slack. What we should be doing, however, is making it as easy on the listing agent as possible to make a selection that we are the right choice. So here's a few key things that you should be doing in order to make your offers look more appealing. 1, when you send that offer, when you write the offer, should I say, let's start there. When you write that offer, make it as clean as possible. Yes, your buyer might want the backyard furniture. They might want an option to extend the due diligence or earnest period. They might want the option to do this, this, and this, but it's just gonna make it more complicated. Make sure your buyer knows if they keep it simple and get it under contract, most of the little things can be negotiated on the back end. That's right. Most of it can be negotiated on the back end, especially being now that seller's under contract, they don't want to go back to market. They want to avoid that at all costs. Now, they do have the asset. Keep this in mind, they do have the asset. So if they do have to go back to market, they're still gonna get it back under contract. Your buyer will not have another house at that point. So don't get too cocky, but you can negotiate the little things. Now, when you get that offer, when you're submitting it to the listing agent, there's a few key pieces you need to do. 1, you want to make sure the second you know your client's making an offer and what those terms are, you text it to the agent. Text your name, your firm, the email address it'll be coming from, and the details of the offer, so that that seller's agent knows. Now, I don't care if they said they're going to wait till Sunday and it's Friday night. You do it immediately, because guess what? We can't control our sellers. Okay, we can't control them. If they decide they want to take an offer, they can take an offer, even if we said we're waiting until Sunday. There's no hard rule on that, okay? So guard and protect your buyers by doing it immediately. 2, when you send the offer, do not send one document with a bunch of documents that are inside of it. A multi-document in one attachment is just not the way to go. You know why? Because the listing agent, if they accept that offer, they're gonna have to break it all up. In addition, at a quick glance, they can't tell if you've got all of the documents that are needed. So make sure you update or upload PDF versions of everything. Your property disclosures, your proof of funds, your offer to purchase. Put it all in there and make sure you put that pre-approval letter in there. And make sure it's a pre-approval. Get them all attached in one email. I cannot stand it when I get multiple emails with the extra attachments, right? It's such a pain in the butt. So make sure you put it all in there. The body or the title of the email, make sure you put in offer to purchase, all bold, with the address. Very simple. And in the body of the email, quick hello, what your clients are able to do, state this is the closing date we've selected. However, we can close between this date and this date. Because what we want to do, we know that we have to choose one date on the contract. I get that. But we need to give them opportunities to say, oh, but they could close the 4th or the 10th. That's really helpful. Make sure you put that information in there. Nobody really cares at this point that they've got a family of 5 and they want to find a house. That's everybody's story. Stick to the facts unless there's something really glaringly necessary to mention. Don't even bother. You're also going to want to put a quick summary of what's in the offer. Here's the offer price, when we want to close, what we're offering, what we'd like, and if your client wants to, we can blah, blah, blah. Okay? Make sure all addenda, all attachments, everything is there. The cleaner your offer and the better it's presented, the better chance you have of it being accepted. Because the listing agent not only is going to be able to see the information quickly, but they're also going to be able to know this is the kind of agent I'm going to be working with over the next 30 days. And that means a lot. Now, last but not least, you're going to text the agent after you send it. You're going to text the real estate agent and say, hi, I just sent XYZ offer on XYZ house. Yes, put in the address because we do have multiple listings up. on this house, this property, etc. Here's the address. Here's the email in which it was sent from. Now this is key, guys. Put your email address in. You know why? Sometimes things go to spam. Sometimes things aren't received. So it makes it easier for the listing agent to go log in, put in that email address and say, oh, boom, there it is, I got it. And just ask for confirmation. You might also want to ask, out of curiosity, does your seller know when they might have an answer? Not a rush, I just want to prepare my buyers. Now with that, you can also send a thank you email to that. Thank you so much for confirming, and here's where we're at. So when you're doing all of this, I know it sounds like a lot, but it is going to make sure not only it's received, but that listing agent knows exactly what you're presenting. Now let's go to the next key piece here. That's making sure that your offer can get accepted. But there's one big caveat. Understand what's going on in your market. If you don't list a lot of homes, get with a listing agent and find out what kind of offers they're seeing. For example, if you know somebody who's a friend of yours who listed and sold a house in the 500s, say, look, I saw it was listed for this, sold for this, but what kind of offers were you seeing? What was the due diligence and earnest money that was being provided? What kind of additional items like waiving the appraisals, etc.? What offers were you getting? By understanding both sides of the transaction, you can better tell your buyers how they need to present their offer. For example, I know that anywhere above the $400,000, $500,000 range, we need to be having due diligence money, which in North Carolina is money that goes hard immediately upon going under contract, at minimum $25,000. All this money, by the way, does go towards the purchase, but we need to be clear with this with our buyers so they understand how to best present themselves. So when I'm looking at how we may need to make an offer, not only am I seeing, will it appraise, but we need to start talking to our clients about the fact that it's not going to appraise. But here's the good thing about that. Even though it won't appraise, if let's say it's a $400,000 house advertised, it appraises for $425,000, but we have an offer of $450,000 and they pay $450,000. Yes, they're paying that extra $25,000. However, over the next year, based upon our market, it's gone up 21% in value, in really isn't, it's inflation, but 21% in value over the last 12 months, meaning it's gonna catch up and surpass that, especially being they have now set the market at that new standard. Because when we're doing comparisons, we're comparing it off of other properties that have sold. So if the last property sold was at $450,000, the new baseline is $450,000 that everything else will be based off of. So it'll cause the actual prices in the neighborhood to go up, and they have set the new baseline. Meaning they're not gonna be in a hole if they sell in the next year or two, they'll be fine. That's actually literally just happened to one of my friends. They bought 2 years ago and they're getting ready to sell. They had to pay $15,000 to $20,000 over the appraisal, and yet they're gonna end up netting about $80,000 on the sale of their house in just 2 years. How crazy is that? By the way, when I say net, I mean I am actually including how much they had to pay over the appraised amount. It's amazing. Now you also have to prepare your clients to say, yes, it is gonna go over appraisal, but it's kind of a crapshoot, right? How do you know? What I usually do is I will take a look at the last several homes sold in a neighborhood, and I will look at what the list price was and what it was sold at. Now, in most cases in some of these neighborhoods, it's going to be sold over the asking price. So I take a look at what the percentage is over the list price that it's sold for. In addition to that, I also am going to take a look at, I know that it's increasing, right? Well, 6 months ago, you might only go 10,000 over, now it's 15. So you have to understand how to look at MLS and the multiple listing service, make a comparison upon where it was listed and sold at, so you can advise your buyers to say, look, I know it's listed at 500,000. However, based upon the trends, it's going to sell for at least 50,000 over asking price. And on top of that, because it's increasing day over day, you're going to have to put an offer 70,000 over ask and have the understanding that it probably will appraise $25,000 under that. Are you prepared to bring $25,000 to closing over appraisal? The answer is yes, we move forward. If it's no, then we keep looking. But here's the reality. This is what the market is right now. It will shift, it will change, but the demand remains, and it's not the iBuyers, it's not the investors that are causing this. It is straight demand and inflation. And because interest rates are starting to go up, it's going to start to tighten just a little bit on buyers, and they're not going to be able to get as high a price as they used to. So keep that in mind. And last but not least, I was hoping to keep this video under 15 minutes. I apologize. But what about your buyers that they've got an approval, but they just don't have the cash? Here's what I recommend. Start getting creative. I recommend building relationships with investors, especially wholesalers, that have properties that they come across that will not be listed on the open market. These people can be found if you just start searching investors or buy my house or I have a house to sell. You can go on the flip side of that and become one of their buyers, meaning you'll get on the list of the other buyers. And every time a property is available, they will send you that link. Some of them are crap, some of them are really great, but they are going to sell it at a fraction of the price of the open market. And because you don't have the open market demand, because not everybody knows about it, you have a better opportunity for your buyer to get in. In addition to that, have the conversation about changing expectations on location. The further away from a city that you get, the better the opportunity. But to be perfectly honest, your dollars are going to go a little bit further and there's going to be far less demand. They can always go ahead, move in, and then sell in a year or two. Hold on to it if they want to, but they can always buy in a year or two if things have calmed down or if their financial opportunities have changed. I hope this helped. Make sure to stay tuned. There's plenty of things that we're going to be doing to change up this market and what's going on, but I want to make sure that you guys have a nice baseline of what you should be doing to prepare. Now, here's my big key piece of information. Get connected with agents that have listings or consistently list. For two reasons. One, you're going to want an explanation of what's going on the listing side of things to see what kind of offers are coming in. And two, if you can get on their list or get in with them in a way with a friendship, they will also tell you what is coming to market here soon. Hope everybody enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one.